If your team got guaranteed money, tell them call me.
Whoop. Make me say, my.
I done been around the world.
Yeah, I was made for this.
Player Performance with J.A. Cavalier.
Welcome back to another episode of Player Performance. I am J.A. Cavalier, your favorite capper's favorite capper. Go ahead, smash the like button, thumbs up. As always, appreciation is appreciated. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Now go subscribe. We do this every day. We do it for free. We do it for the community. And if you've been tailing the NBA pick show, then you've been absolutely cashing. Thank you, Shark, for stepping in while I was on my little mini vacation. I told you guys, sometimes you have to step back in order to move forward, and I did just that. And boy, did I come back refreshed, firing on all cylinders. Other than Saturday, college football had a bad day. Everything else has been absolutely smashing. Have an NBA card tonight that I love. I'm planning on feasting tonight. You want to eat? Link in the description below. Jump involved with what I'm doing here in the NBA tonight. These are the games that I'm personally playing. You want in, like I said, link in the description below. Well, here it is, NBA player performance for Wednesday night. Let's go.
Pistons versus Hornets.
So the Pistons travel to Charlotte to take on the Hornets. Hornets are laying one. The total here is at 222.5. The line dropped from 2 to 1.5, then to 1. A little bit of steam coming in on Detroit, and for a good reason. Detroit's been playing good ball, 3-2 last 5. Fresh off the outright win, the outright upset, I should say, over the Lakers. These are two teams that we typically back in the underdog role. I like Detroit in this spot, but Shark, you're on Charlotte. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know I've been on Detroit all year. I bet them about 90% of their games. And this is where I do like to sell high in a very specific environment. 3-1 straight up last 4, back-to-back margin wins against Brooklyn and the Lakers. I think this team is not supposed to run 75% against the money line long term. So just a small window sell point for me tonight. And I think a really nice spot to buy Charlotte. Charlotte's coming off a blowout loss at Minnesota on Monday night. They come home to where they have performed great off a prior non-cover this year. 2-0 ATS off a previous non-cover. 1-0 ATS at home as a favorite. Did beat Toronto by 5 on an opening line, minus 4.5. The only time they were favored this year. And as I said, I think this is just a really nice spot to sell Detroit in the small window and really buy Charlotte in this matchup specifically. Go back to last year. Detroit was 3-0 straight up and ATS versus Charlotte. Margin wins by 12, 7, and most recently 17. Books like Charlotte here, moving the line from Detroit home minus 4.5 to Charlotte minus 2 here in the Spectrum Center tonight. As I said, we love Detroit. It's spot-specific analysis. Buying Charlotte tonight at minus 2, and let's cash this one.
All right, but I lean Detroit. He is official on Charlotte, but I will go official on the under. Pistons play slow. Charlotte's shooting is pretty streaky. The under's 5-0 last 5 on the road for Detroit. And the under's also 5-0 last 5 in this series. And 4 of the last 5 have also gone under for Charlotte. Shark, I just feel that there's much more substance in Detroit. Charlotte is pretty much mellow and a bunch of dudes. The Detroit Pistons have the making of a squad. Young, but talent. You also know that they have the much better coach. It's not just Cade. It's Cade, Ivy, Doran. 1v1, head-to-head. Who's better, Cade or Melo?
In my opinion, I like Cade more. I think the mental makeup is bigger. I mean, you talk about the Ball family, LeVar going on talk shows about 7 or 8 years ago before Lonzo went to UCLA. The family is a huge project and a product that has sold all sorts of stuff, merchandise across the globe. However, I think ultimately what I'm looking at here, more so than just the one-on-one matchup, this coach Charles Lee for Charlotte, fairly unknown guy, but a real grinder type of coach who I think will have his team ready to perform against a well-coached team with JB Bickerstaff. So I think you're totally spot on with that. It's why we like Detroit. I think their upside is probably bigger long term. I just think we're really honing in tonight. Charlotte is the side. But again, great conversation, and I do understand the other side of this game for sure.
And we do like Bickerstaff here on this program. I will say this about Papa Ball. He's learned to shut up and just let his kids play. So, you know what? Nothing wrong with that. All right, Sharky, we'll be back in the show with more. As always, Shark is official now on Charlotte, the Charlotte Hornets. I am official on the under.
Magic versus Pacers.
Pacers are laying 5.5. Total here is at 226.5. This line is sketchy as fuck. Pacers got a big win in Big D, putting up 134 on the Mavericks. This is also a revenge spot for the Pacers. Magic have not won a game since beating the Pacers. Since Banchero's been out, the Magic are 0-3, failing to hit 90 in 2 of those 3. But if you're looking for points, Indiana is a great fucking place to start your search. Points can always be found at the Gamebridge Fieldhouse. I know you say 5 is average, but 5.5 does seem awfully short. Make it make sense.
Yeah, I feel like I'm glad you agree with me before you even heard what I had to say. Because here's the thing, with Orlando, even with Paolo Banchero, they're offensively challenged on their best day. A perfect example is the last time these two teams played. Orlando won 119-115, but Banchero put up 50 points. Without Banchero in the lineup, well, let me actually just go a different way. The entire makeup of Orlando is going to change because of the 2 injuries, one to Banchero, the other to Wendell Carter. Banchero is 6'10", 250. Wendell Carter is 6'10", 270. And they're the 2 biggest players in the entire roster, and they're both out. So now the biggest guy you have is Mo Wagner. I don't really want to get into Mo, but he's the worst of the 2 twins. You're going to have to play small ball with a bunch of guys that can't put the ball in the basket. That's a recipe for disaster. I don't think that Indiana is necessarily going to shut them down and hold them to under 100 points, but 110 would be a huge number for Orlando. And I think if Indiana could put up 115 in a game where Orlando really outdid themselves offensively, by the way, in that same game where Indiana put up 115, they only shot like 56% on layups, which is horrendous. So they make their layups, they make their threes. There's no way that this Orlando team can keep up with Indiana's offense.
Now, my first instinct, of course, is to lay the 5.5. I mean, it may not be great for her, but it fucking works for me. I would prefer if it was 7. I would actually feel more comfortable if that's what she said. But I agree. I would also be on the Pacers here, and Junior was trying to talk. Hear what he said.
I said I don't know if she'd feel comfortable, but she'd like it more.
Always fun, always a pleasure. Junior Brown here on Player Performance. Junior is on the Indiana Pacers. He is laying the 5.5. I would feel more comfortable at 7, but I actually agree. I'm on the Pacers as well.
Knicks versus Hawks.
So the New York Knicks are laying 7.5 on the road in the ATL. The over here is at 225.5. Now, I say over because when it comes to Atlanta, there's really only one direction, and that is up and over the total. 12 of Atlanta's last 13 have gone over at the crib, and 9 of their last 10 overall have gone over. Junior, of course, you're on the over. Tell me how you got there.
Well, I don't really need to make the case for anyone that watches NBA as to why I would take the over on Atlanta. They score a ton of points and are not very interested in stopping you from scoring points on the other end. So I'll just make the case for the Knicks. I think that the Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson 2-man game is starting to look like one of the most dangerous weapons in the league. Obviously, it's too early to say that. I'm saying that based on the potential that I see. It's getting the guys open shots, and they're scoring at a pretty high clip. You add to that the fact that the Knicks defense is looking like trash, which we don't associate with a Thibodeau team. Their rim protection is atrocious. Just to give you guys context, the average NBA team scores about 65% of their layups and dunks. Right now, the Knicks are allowing 78%. Only 3 teams are even allowing 70%. Nobody's allowing 75%. So the Knicks allowing 78% on layups is a recipe for disaster, which is why they're in the bottom 10 in the league in defensive ranking. You add to that what I just said about Atlanta, I think this number should be a tad higher. So I'm playing the number in the situation, which leads me all the way to an over.
Now, it would only be bing bong for me. Next up, everyone hates Trae Young, and no one hates him more than us in New York. Spitting on him in the Garden and toward the playoffs. He did earn it. I'm taking the Knicks team total over here. And the reason why I'm on the team total over as opposed to the over for the show, for the game, is Trae Young may not play. Rib injury may sideline him. Regardless if he plays or not, I don't see him really shooting effectively. If you've ever had a rib injury, it's fucking brutal. Hurts when you breathe, hurts when you lift your arm. And the last time I checked, you lift your arms when you shoot. So unless you're going old school and you're underhanding the shots, I am on the Knicks team total because with or without Trae Young, the Atlanta Hawks are not playing fucking defense. And like Junior said, the two-man game between Brunson and Cat is improving. It does look or appear to be unstoppable. I am in lockstep with him. My only fear for the game total would be whether or not Trae Young is a gun.
Warriors versus Celtics.
Golden State Warriors travel to Boston to take on the Celtics, last year's champions. This is a revenge from 3 years ago, where the Warriors beat the Celtics. I think they still have revenge on their mind over there in Boston. It doesn't matter what the line or the spread is or the total, because if you see this guy, you know it can only mean one thing: player prop coming. He is the prop master, Luke Shuey. He's going to drop a player prop. So, guys, if you're a Prize Picks player, underdog player, what's that other one?
Sleeper, better, all of
Wasn't there one that used to be Monkey Knife Fight?
them. Yeah, what was that called? I don't even know.
I think it was Monkey Knife Fight. I literally just said what it was. All right, look, anyway, who do you have, player?
Yeah, you're right. I don't really care what the spread is. If Boston blows them out, great. If the Warriors are in this game, great. I'm going with the sharpest line on the prop card in this game, and it is by far Buddy Hield's under on his point total. Everybody is high on Buddy Hield this year. He's historically shooting the ball in terms of his points scored per minute played. The guy's averaging 21.9 points per game, leading the Warriors. It's nuts. He's never averaged that near that in his career, particularly based on how many minutes he normally plays. And for that exact reason, what do odds makers do? They put his line at 15.5. It's more than 6 points below his season line. Why is that? It's sharp. It's for a reason. He's not going to keep this hot of shooting up. Steph Curry's back from injury. That takes the ball out of Hield's hands for 15, 20 shot attempts for Curry. And then my last point, really, that might be the most important, is Boston's perimeter defense. They are elite. They shut down the three-point shooting. They're ranked third in the NBA in terms of limiting opponent three-point percentage. Hield's got to cool off. Water finds its level. Odds makers are showing us it's going to be tonight. And so I back that. I'm going Buddy Hield under 15.5 points. Book it. That's all I can say.
Now, I may or may not have 20,000 on this game tonight. Maybe. Wait and see. Wait and see.
Only
Check
one
with
way
me.
to find out.
Wait and see. Check with me. I do have 20,000 on something tonight. It may be this game.
So we do care about the spread. Maybe.
No, I care. But when you're on, it doesn't really matter because we already know where you're going. It's all about who you're targeting. So he is targeting Buddy Hield tonight. I have no problems with that. Actually, should be an offensive game. I mean, I'm sure you're expecting a lot of points in this game. So if you're going to look anywhere, Buddy Hield would obviously be a good direction to look in. But if you're looking for props, this is the man right here.
We do it every day.
Everybody else should just fucking stop and quit. This is it. This is Luke Shuey or nothing.
Lakers versus Grizzlies.
Grizzlies are laying 1.5. The total here is at 231.5. Lakers now 1-3 last 4. Barely beat Toronto. And what do you know? AD is now back on the injury report. So is D'Angelo Russell. The Grizzlies get Bane back tonight, I think. And he's going to be needed after a loss to the Nets. And in recent history, the Lakers have actually owned the Grizzlies. 4-1 straight up last 5. Coach says buck the trend, take Memphis. Why do you trust Memphis in this spot?
Yeah, well, you mentioned it. Lakers 1-3 in their last 4. Cleveland gashed them, 134. Toronto put up 125. The defense is awful, I think. Not good in transition. They're 24th in points allowed, 22nd in efficiency. Now you're going to come in and you're going to take on I don't know if I call him red hot, but he's playing well. John Morant, not great numbers for him, but 20.7 a game, almost 10 assists. He's got 4 double-doubles in his last 5 games. Zach Edey, 2 double-doubles in his last 2. And don't forget the Lakers give up the 3rd most points in the paint. So I think you'll see Edey have a decent night. I kind of think this Memphis team, they play at a pretty frenetic pace. And they remind me of the team from, I believe it was 2 years ago when they went 35-9 at home. They're 2-1 straight up and against the spread in their last 3. And I've seen the line actually move to -2. So I think Memphis is strong right here in this spot.
So coach is saying that he's moving lines out here. Listen, I'm all for it. Anytime you have a chance to fade the Lakers, I'm in. Laker fans were all chirping at the start of the season, 3-0 start. Where you guys at now? Where you guys at now? Laker fans, where are you? Where
Can't
are
find
you?
them.
I want to see you guys in the chat. Coach is official on the Memphis Grizzlies. I'll probably tail that as well. I like Memphis in this spot, especially a bounce back off of the loss to Brooklyn. So there it is, Coach official, and I'm just riding the wave.
Thunder versus Nuggets.
OKC laying 7.5 on the road at Denver. What a fucking difference a year makes, more so what 2 years makes. Caldwell Pope now gone, Murray out, Gordon out. So it's Nikola Jokic and... Now, look, I did say to start the season that Caldwell Pope's the loss of Caldwell Pope is going to be fucking enormous. Starting to feel the effects now in Denver. I know it's early, 4-3 on the season, but 2 of those wins were in overtime, and the third a 2-point win against the Raptors. They had to come back in that game against the Toronto Raptors. Sharky, is this just the new norm in Denver?
I think at least at this point in the season, yes. And I think you really nailed it. This team is ultra fatigued, not only physically, but mentally. You win a title 2 years ago. You have to do the whole summer media tour. There's more pressure on you. You come back last year, lose in 7 in excruciating fashion in your home gym in the second half to the young Wolves. And then you have to play the Olympics this summer if you're Jokic. And I think anybody who follows Jokic has heard some of his quotes over the years. He's a hell of a basketball player, but to him, it's work. He's not overly enthusiastic about stepping on the court. So I think at this point, he's really going through the motions mentally, even though he's still putting good statistical output on the court. I think that's really kind of radiating through the group in a negative way. I think there's just a lack of energy with this group right now. And they might turn it up at some point in December, but not right now. As you said, unimpressive every single game. And you want to talk about the opposite side of this? OKC is elite right now. 7-0 straight up, 6-1 ATS. Their only non-cover was a backdoor against the Spurs. They were up huge in the final 3 minutes. They're also dominant on the road. 4-0 ATS, average win margin by 17.5 points per game. And you talk about maybe the lack of energy and chemistry from Denver. If you watch this OKC team in the postgame on court in the interviews, the whole group comes to the interview like a fraternity. And some people were trash talking that. And I was saying, I think that's great. I think it's guys that really enjoy being around each other. And I think the group cares more than almost any team in the league. It kind of reminds me of the young Warriors going about a decade ago with a young Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, where they want to win every single game and potentially win 75 ball games this year. This is their regular season to set records. 57-25 last year. I'm telling you, they're coming for 70 wins this year. And final point on this game, these teams did play in the opener. OKC hammered Denver on the road, 102-87. Denver was favored there. So it tells you what the books think of this game. They don't think revenge is coming at all. They love OKC here tonight. I love OKC. Buy this one at -7, and let's cash this one.
Now, I thought you were going to say they seemed like a tight-knit unit, kind of like the team over here at Why Lose. Look, we did see this matchup to start the season. OKC went up early and pretty much never looked back. Thunder had been a wagon. I'm not stepping in front of that wagon. 5-0 against the spread, last 5 on the road. Shark says play the trend, not against it. Shark is official on the Thunder tonight, laying the 7.5.
Heat versus Suns.
So my Heat are traveling to Phoenix. These are two of the hotter teams in the league. Get it? Get it, Heat Suns? Look, I'll let that one sink in. Miami's catching 5.5, total here at 221.5. I get that we typically start slow. But come on, man. Push my Heat ticket on Monday night. That was a Miami spot. At home, teams coming from and out of Toronto. It's hard getting in and out of Canada. Miami has to win those games. I always say, though, if you're going to give me 3 points, take them. And that +1 came in mightily handy. I'm going to also say this. We're 2-0 on the road. And we have always played well in Phoenix. 13-3 against the spread, last 16 on the road against the Suns. Defense wins ball games. Defense equates to unders. Junior, you like the under? Tell them why.
Yeah, I like the under for a couple of different reasons. First of all, the Phoenix Suns defense is much improved. Coach Bud is a real coach, as opposed to not to say that Frank Vogel wasn't a real coach, but
he wasn't a real coach.
I'm just saying. Yeah, you could say it good, because I'll be politically correct and say Coach Bud has never not won anywhere he's gone. Atlanta, Milwaukee.
Oh, hey, time out. Junior, I know you're originally from Canada. I know you live in Costa Rica now. But Trump is back in office, which means all that political correct shit is now out the fucking window.
No, you're right. Let me talk like Orange Face. I can't wait to see the first thing he's going to say. But sticking to basketball, you know what? Let me stop being politically correct. You're absolutely right. First of all, Frank Vogel never connected with that team last year, and they didn't buy into what he was selling. I think Coach Bud, even though he's not known as a defensive coach, has instilled at least like a program there and a set of rules that they abide by. Their defense is looking much better. Their pace is a bit slow, which is one of the reasons why I'm on the under. We already know the pace Miami wants to play at. They're 28th out of 30 teams in pace as well. So they're moving slow. And one thing I saw about Miami when I was doing some defensive work, their rim protection's looking elite. They allow, let me just pull up so I'm not talking on my ass right now. They allow, they're 5th in rim protection in the NBA, which is one of the other reasons I'm on this under. They allow the 6th fewest attempts at the rim and the 3rd best percentage against. So they're top 6 in both frequency to the rim and percentage against at the rim. So they're not letting you score inside. They themselves, I don't want to disrespect your team, but offensively, they're pretty challenged. This number seems a tick too high. Give me the under.
Yeah, and Jaime may not play tonight, so that probably adds a little more value to your under as well. And look, I'm never going to talk you off an under in a Heat game. You know, Trump being back in office, I just have to add with this, right? So Trump being back in office was like when Tombstone, when they told me that, not Tombstone, what's the name of that show with what's his name? Montana, the Y, Yellowstone. All right, so when I heard Yellowstone wasn't coming back, like when Yellowstone was canceled, and now it's back. So Trump is, if nothing else, is going to be entertaining for the next 4 years. So that's what I like. I mean, and you guys all know I'm not political at all. You know what? I believe in 2 rules: no politics, no religion. But we will talk fucking sports, and we will talk Trump, because we will talk entertainment. All right, so Junior is official on the Heat Suns under the posted total.
Raptors versus Kings.
So the Kings are laying 11.5. The total here is at 237.5. Now, I may be stirring the pot just a little bit, stirring the pot. But the Raptors have been pesky as fuck since Scotty Barnes has got hurt. Are they better off without Scotty? I mean, we all started the season thinking that this was a G League squad. RJ Barrett is now fucking balling out of his mind. 26, 6, and 8. 26.6 assists and 8 rebounds a game. Those are MVP caliber numbers. Thought to be the doormat of the league, but not no mo. They may not finish games, but they do cover. 5-0 last 5 against the spread. Those 5, Nuggets, Kings, Lakers, Hornets, Nuggets. Shark, is this just a case of, oh, it's the Raptors, we could sleepwalk through this game?
I think so, but I mean that cashes tickets in early season NBA basketball, and
I'll take
you
it.
said it 5-0 last five, actually 7-1 overall. Only non-cover in the opener against scorching hot Cleveland. This team is catching all these Western teams napping, as you mentioned, covered against Denver twice, and this is the second time they catch Sacramento this year, and I think you're going to see a similar result. Toronto actually beat Sacramento at home on November 2nd, a Saturday night it was, 131-128 in overtime. And the books are holding this line short. This should be a little heavier. I think this game's going to be inside of 7 points tonight. And I think it is very specific to what you said. RJ Barrett, clearly very comfortable. A Canadian product. Played for Duke, went to New York. He's back home. Great mental makeup with this kid. I think he's really the top type of player to lead this Toronto franchise. And these other guys, these young players just grinding. This coach is running about 10 or 11 guys per night. Nobody's burning out. The second unit is scrappy. And going to the Sacramento side of this, I was looking at last year. Of course, Sacramento's moved around a little bit, traded Harrison Barnes, now does have DeMar DeRozan, but Sacramento's in a very unique calendar spot. They're coming off a 4-game trip. They just played 3 consecutive games on Eastern time. Now they come home for the first game of a little home sequence. Last year, Sacramento was 3-11 ATS in the first game at home off a previous road game with some really noteworthy poor efforts, outright losses as a significant favorite to Eastern Conference bottom feeders Charlotte, Detroit, Chicago, and also Indiana and Miami. They don't compete well in this spot. It's a dead zone spot. They don't compete well against Eastern bottom feeders. I think Toronto keeps this one tight tonight. We like Toronto at plus 11.5.
Yeah, and Dick is balling, right? In Toronto. I mean, it's hard to say with a straight face, but Dick is balling. So I set that up perfectly for you. You, of course, knocked it down. So I guess you get the bucket. I get the assist. I'm also to get the money, but you're wrong. This is absolutely a Sacramento spot. Jamar, DeRozan. That's it. DeRozan. Revenge spot. Drake has been writing checks, some pretty big fucking checks that the Raptors are now going to have to cash. Opening his mouth, vomiting again. He got bodied by Kendrick. Now he's picking on ball players. Tonight, the Kings have to cash those checks. And those checks are going to be paid for by the Toronto Raptors. Kings like the beam. They win this game by 20 plus. You guys have all heard the expression, don't write checks that your body can't cash, right? More so, don't ever write a fucking check that somebody else is going to have to fucking cash. Because that's what's happening here in this spot. And I think the Sacramento Kings are going to come out looking for fucking blood. Give me everything Sacramento. I'm lighting the beam tonight. The Kings win this game in a fucking rout.
Tell me what you gonna do now. Keep rolling. Keep rolling.
That's right. Get to ylose.com. That's the letter YLOSE.com. Free pick, stats, trends, scores, odds, and more. That's ylose.com, the letter YLOSE.com. Well, that's it for us here on a Wednesday. This has been Player Performance NBA Edition. You guys want in on the games I'm playing. You want the games I'm betting. And I told you guys, I am looking to feast in the league tonight. I have plays on the board I already love. 5 dimes on a couple plays, 10 dimes on a play. And I'm looking to get there with authority tonight on a 20-dime, no doubt route. You want in, link in the description below. For Shark, Junior Brown, Coach Rick, and Luke Shuey, I am J.A. Cavalier. See you guys back here tomorrow as we break down the NBA card for Thursday. But until then, remember, yesterday's a memory. Tomorrow's not promised. You're here today. You're here now. Make it count.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort.